Our next candidate is Senator Megan Glacken from the Moderation Party.
The question is, what leader do you model your actions after? I actually model my actions after two leaders. Obviously, one of them would be Hillary Clinton, not just because she's a woman, but the fact that she has such influence. The only person that I've known who has the courage to become a presidential nominee and have it to make it that far. But even if she didn't win, she still has a great influence in our country. She's Secretary of State, has done loads for us. And then my other one might be cheesy, but it's George Washington, because not only was he well liked, but he's also well respected for what he's done for our country. He was our first president, and I think he just did wonderful, and I wish I could too.
Okay. The next question, if you could talk to three people, historical or fictional, who would they be and why?
My first one would obviously be George Washington, because he was the leader, our first one, and I feel because if you haven't been in the White House, you don't truly know what it's like. And if I get some insight from him, especially being our first one, I definitely could make our world just as good as his. And then my second, Harriet Tubman, she had such courage to create the underground tunnel, like knowing that she could get seriously fined, not even that, she could die from it. And I was just so honored that she's had so much influence and helped so many people, and I wish I could. Fictional-wise, Harry Potter. I've always loved that book since I was younger, and I just am so fascinated with magic, and the fact that this young boy who started at 12 had so much going against him, and yet he still managed to have a somewhat normal life. He could still live it, and I wish my life would be the same when I get into the presidency.
Good answer.
All right, next we'd like you to tell us about a time that you had to overcome a major obstacle in your life.
It's kind of tough to talk about, but first grade, my parents decided to get a divorce, which was tough because I didn't exactly know what a divorce was because no one's ever said anything. And I had my older brother who was only in fourth grade, and he took it extremely hard to the point where we went to therapy sessions, and he could not stand the fact that my parents are divorced. And that's just something I've had to overcome. Is I've had to grow up a lot faster than most people have, because it was just me and him most of the time. Either we'd go back and forth, and my parents, I tell them all the time that me and him have probably spent more time together than anybody in our family. Like, even for them, it's kind of tough for them to hear, but it's just, he's my rock and I'm his, and I just love having him there for me.
Final question. What's one trait that you most dislike about yourself and a trait you most dislike about others?
The trait I dislike about myself could be bad, but it could be good at the same time. I'm obviously very talkative, and sometimes it does backfire against me. But I feel whatever I say is probably true. I may not have a very good filter, but I'm not going to lie to you about it. Whatever comes out, I'm trying to be completely honest with you. I'm not trying to be rude. It's just what I feel personally, and it expresses my opinion. But things I don't like about other people, I cannot stand liars. They do not do well with me. If you say you're going to do something, please do it. Don't lie to me to try to make me happy, and don't say anything you don't actually mean. So liars are not fun.
All right, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
And good luck with the election.
Thank you.
Our next candidate is Senator John Vandenberg from the Wholesome Party.
Okay, so the first question is, what leader do you model your actions after?
One leader I would like to model my actions after would be George Washington, just because he was a great president and a well-respected leader. And I believe he was balanced in his views. He accepted both views and took into account both views, and that's all what my party's about, is balance and moderate. And we would like to see both sides of the political spectrum coming together as one to work out issues.
Okay, and the second question is, if you could talk to three people, historical or fictional, who would they be and why?
Well, one person would be my grandparents, because I love my grandparents and family is very important to me. Another person would be probably FDR, because the change that he was looking for is similar to the problems we have today with the economy and things. I would just like to get his input and really what his ideas were about the economy and where he was going with it, what his decisive plans were. And then a third person I would like to really, it's a little different, but Sherlock Holmes, because he's very good at figuring out problems, and I've always been fascinated by how he figured out his mysteries and everything. So that would be just a fun character to meet.
Awesome.
All right, next we'd like you to tell us about a time you had to overcome a major obstacle in your life.
Well, one time is actually happening now. I actually have a stress fracture in my lower back, so it's a major obstacle. It takes me out of what I like to do best, which is sports, and it's not fun, but you have to keep working through it, and every day you have to get better, do your exercises and things, and that's kind of what relates to the country, is we got to take small steps, and then in the long run, and at the end of the day, we'll be where we want to be.
And our final question. What is one trait that you most dislike about yourself, and one trait you most dislike about others?
One trait I really dislike about other people is cockiness, and I believe that you should be humble, and you should be willing to listen to what other people have to say rather than just doing what you want to do. And then one trait I dislike about myself would probably be that I overanalyze things a lot. I would like to just really focus, not over-focus, but just look at the big picture rather than taking my time to look at small details too much. I mean, I think you need to look at the big picture every once in a while.
All right. Thank you.
All right? Thank you.
Our final candidate is Governor Ramiz Sultan from the Dark Knight Party.
First question, what leader do you model your actions after?
I believe a leader that I really try to follow an example of would be Teddy Roosevelt. He was at his time he was a very strong leader, and he tended to do things that may not have been very popular, but he knew what was right at the time, and he went out and did those things.
Okay, and the next question, if you could talk to 3 people, historical or fictional, who would they be and why?
I would have to choose to talk to Nikola Tesla. He's a very famous scientist at his time who came about with great ideas that really did change the world. Probably also FDR, the only president to serve 3 terms, really just to get his insight as to how he overcame some of his problems and how he solved some of the difficult issues that the United States had to face. Then I would probably also meet with Benjamin Franklin, a great inventor, very smart man, and really just try to pick his brain a little bit and see what he thought about certain things.
Okay, next, we'd like you to tell us about a time when you had to overcome a major obstacle in your life.
Overcome a major obstacle. I would have to choose when.
It could be in your personal or political life.
Well, my political life would be back when I was the governor of New Mexico. I had to work with the Republicans and Democrats within my state to really make decisions about some of the hardcore issues that we had to face. One major one was I noticed my state was in desperate need of health care. So I really tried to work with the Republicans. Unfortunately, I was not able to come to a concrete conclusion with them, but we all did agree that independent free health care was needed in our state, and I believe it was a great accomplishment that I could work with the Republicans and really come to that conclusion with them.
And our final question. What is one trait that you dislike about yourself, and one trait that you dislike about others?
One trait that I find a little one trait that I don't really like myself would be probably the fact that I tend to really work a little too hard into things, and really when I do that, I tend to maybe sometimes overanalyze an issue, and thus doing that, I look at the problem and then I invest all my time into it, and then as I go deeper and deeper, I find more problems within the problem itself or some of the solutions I may come up with, and it may sometimes take me a little longer than usual to really come to a conclusion.
And the one trait that you dislike about others?
One trait in others would be really a lack of honesty. I really believe that in order for someone to be successful in any of their profession, they really need to be honest with each other and work with their team. So there's nothing really held back, and everything's brought up to the table, so that there is a problem that can be addressed right then and there and will not come up later on down the line.
All right, thank you so much for joining us, Governor, and good luck in the race.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed our interviews, and EC News would like to wish all of the candidates good luck in the election.